Thank you so much for joining us today on Take 10. We come to you every week with a look at a variety of mental health and related issues as they affect caregiving and caregivers. I'm Ron Aaron, along with our co-host, Dr. Jamie Huysman. He's Chief Compassion Officer at WellMed Medical Management. He's known nationally for a variety of things, including his work in addictions and caregiving. And Carol Zernial. Carol is the do an edit here. Yeah. Now, Mark, do a little edit here. Carol holds a master's degree in social gerontology and 30 years experience in the field. She's co-chair of the RAISE Family Caregiving Advisory Council and executive director of the WellMed Charitable Foundation. And so, Dr. Jamie, Carol has a great topic, responding to those negative emotions that every caregiver may feel, from anger, exhaustion, sadness, loss of control. How do you get that control back?
Well, let's get real and look at ourselves as human beings, okay, not human doings. So I think, Carol, it's a great topic. It always will be. But what I tell my clients and caregivers is specifically that if you are not dealing with all of your emotions, not just the good ones, not just the bad ones, all of your emotions, and they get like being like a 2-year-old, like your child, and they keep wanting your attention. They keep saying, come back, okay? They tug at you until you acknowledge them. That's why when we talk to our patients and caregivers, we say, create a journal, create a gratitude journal, go to a support group, get these out. What we call as therapists, these emotions that are unprocessed, we call them IEDs, of course, implosive explosive devices, God forbid, like a war. And anytime you step on one, it'll trigger something. So all the emotions come up. Okay, because we are human beings. We're not automatons and computers. And we have to find ways to express them and not, as I often say, isolate. And there's many ways to express them, but you need to embrace the fact like they need to be expressed first.
So what if we're afraid to look at what's ugly and negative?
We always will be. I think we're reared that way. God love our parents, or my parents. I'm not sure parents ever really could be the fair, consistent, available parents that we always would want. So we learn fear, false evidence appearing real. We learn anxiety. We learn it at a young age. It's the first time we talk about it in high conflict relationships, we ever learned the trauma bond going back and forth between parents. So fear, shame, guilt, these are childhood emotions. And so what they're natural. And we have to, again, invite, as Carl Jung says, those shadows to lunch and realize that. And that's why we ask caregivers, and again, this is a great advertisement for my foundation, the STAR Network, because we have support groups every day that talks about we have to reparent ourselves. We have to understand that fear should not stop us, that we're the only ones who could take the armor off of ourselves. But we also can't blame ourselves for being fearful. It wasn't us who raised us. We were blank slates as children, and that fear emanates from childhood. Though I love my mother, my father, I'm sure they did the best they could. I didn't create this fear inside of me, but I can change it by reparenting myself.
So we are going to face our emotions. We can't be afraid. It's okay to have them. That's what I'm hearing you say. It's okay to have that anger, have that guilt, to have all of those emotions.
It's okay not to be okay. And I think the point of this is again, like my daughter, when she said, "Oh, Daddy, I'm so stupid." And I said, "No, baby, just say I'm so human." We are humans. And this roller coaster, I don't care if it's crankiness, depression, disgust, anger, ambivalence, these are all natural. It's like when Elizabeth Kubler-Ross talks about death and dying, and she gives these 5 stages, and that's all great. And she's fantastic. But these emotions don't come in stages. They come at us from all angles. And it's okay to feel not okay. However, you can also, in the beautiful world of psychology and mental health, you can reparent your mind. You can find the support groups like at Star Network, or you can go to Caregiver SOS, or you can go and find a darn good licensed therapist right near you and find out how you can be really okay with it by learning skills along the way of resilience, and that you can face the fear and then continue anyway.
Well, my dog is barking, and I apologize for that. But for those of you who may have just joined us, you're listening to Take 10. I'm Ron Aaron with Carol Zernial and Dr. Jamie Huysman.
Let me incorporate that dog. Right now, the dog is feeling in the neurosystem fear. The dog is hearing something outside or that's not usual because you usually do these shows. So the dog obviously needs to be calmed, and animals cannot necessarily do it themselves. But I will reiterate, and I think your dog brings a great point out. We as humans are the only species on Earth that can shift the chemistry of our body at any given time. So your dog may not be conscious how to shift the energy. Obviously, you'll hold them and you'll say it's okay, and that's good, and that's your nervous system. But when we're feeling that fear, when we're feeling those energies, we can actually shift it. We do it through breath work. When we do it in our support groups, you can do it through humor. You can do it through Pilates and yoga. You can do it by taking care of yourself, but you also have to do it with people who are healthy, who are healing. That's called support groups. That's called
Well,
drop-in.
I did what my grandma Tamarkin would have done. I gave him something to eat. Here, Gaius and mein Kind. And
So what
so
you
I threw him
did,
some treats.
yeah. So what you did as a caregiver, I always use experientially everything. Okay. So what you just did was you had him disassociate from the fear. So what we tend to do is drink and drug and do things to get away from that. What I'm saying and what Carol's saying in terms of emotions, we have to lean in and actually take control of the journey and be able to embrace ourselves. So you disassociate. I always say drugs, alcohol, eating stuff, disassociation of any kind is a trauma response. So the good news about caregiving is we literally can take care of ourselves and get through the fear and cope in a way that often your dog cannot.
So so I hear you saying also that it is possible, maybe not necessarily to change our emotions from, from sadness to happiness, but to sort of leave those or deal with them and replace them or have more of the happiness, more of the acceptance, more in the good emotion side if we will deal with what is negative that we're feeling negatively.
Yeah, take a cop or an ambulance EMT or a soldier, people running into burning homes when others are running out. So you're right, Carol. So you cannot necessarily change your sadness, but what you can do, and what is, this is the new psychology, you can feel safe in the moment. So as they're running into SWAT situations, they'll make a stupid decision if they don't put their 2 feet down, do breath work, instead of being reactive to become proactive. And then, as you and I always talk about at WellMed, instead of being in that bottom of the mood elevator, they get to the place of curiosity. So really, these emotions and this fear can be dealt with neurologically. And that's why I teach breath work to people or emotional regulation between humor, emotional groups that you have, support groups, between Pilates, yoga, putting ourselves first, and stress reduction. We can literally be okay, be curious in the moment, and not have to worry about these ghosts and goblins of fear, shame, and guilt of the past.
Now, for those who are wondering, when you say do breath work, give us the 5-second description.
I'll give it to you. And everybody can go to YouTube and watch Dr. Andy Weil. Is wonderful. Do it. He is, if you put 478 into YouTube, he'll come out. And 4 is just breathing in through your nose and feeling it and keeping the breath in your head for 7 seconds. But the exhalation for 8 seconds physiologically calms your vagus nerve, which goes from the cortex of your brain and changes the chemistry of your body. So in 4, 7, 8, and 80 seconds, you can actually change the chemistry of your body with any emotions that we're talking about that rises up in you.
Yeah, and I've actually practiced this. I learned this from you, Jamie, back in the COVID days. Was when I started doing breath work. I use it, for white coat syndrome, high blood pressure, to calm myself before that. And so anybody who has any doubts, check it out. It really does work.
And it can help you deal with those negative emotions. Try that breath work. For Dr. Jamie Huysman and
Andy
Carol
Weil will
Zernial.
do it for you. Let me just tell you, he's 82 years old, and he'll do it for you on YouTube right after the show. So go to YouTube and watch it. 478.
Weil, W-E-I-L, as I recall. Thank you, Jamie.
Right.
Thank you, Carol. I'm Ron Aaron. We'll talk again soon on Take 10.